Boom! Here we are. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. It is just sneaking into 9 o'clock here, and that means it is time for the Monday morning, 9 a.m. educational experience. I'm Ivan. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for tuning in. Today's topic, location, part 2. Last week was location, part 1, which would explain why this week we go to part 2. So we'll do a little bit of recap of last week for those of you that missed it, or for those of you that got a great deal out of it. A little bit of recap won't hurt, and we'll jump right into this week's edition of location. A little bit of a different perspective on it, a little bit of a different direction we're going to be coming at it from, we're going to be talking about it from, we're going to be experiencing it from, which is a good thing. Okie dokie. Good morning. Folks are checking in. As always, my friends from Milan are here. Good to have you guys here, and looking forward to today's program. As always, tradition continues, because if it didn't continue, it wouldn't be a tradition. CJ Andrews checking in. Andrews Barber Parlor, East Aurora, New York. Good to have you here checking in, my friend. Always good to see you. I keep tabs on you on social media pretty well every day anyways, but always good to have you here. It wouldn't be a tradition if we didn't do it every time. That's why we're going to pick up $100,000 haircutter today, and we're going to turn to today. Today is 9/21, September 21. And we're going to read from today's topic of the day, today's tip of the day, today's $100,000 haircutter tip of the day. Do you have the book? Do you have it on audio? Do you have it on digital? Or do you subscribe through the Patreon page to receive your tip of the day every single day, digitally, electronically? All the choices are there. You've got no excuse for how you're going to get it. September 21, day 264, with 101 days remaining in the year. Use the floor to cut hair. This week, or today rather, it's a technical cutting tip. Use the floor to cut hair. What this talks about, and you guys know I don't read it straight from the book. You have the book, you can read it word for word. But what this tip talks about using the floor. We also talk about a wall, or we even talk about the ceiling as a contrast reference. It's like the shirt thing. Look at my shirt. Look at the head. Look at the taper on that. See how there's no steps, no lines, no marks, no jumps, no bumps, no hiccups, no irregularities, no demarcations. As I rotate that head and I keep it backdropped against my chest. Well, we can do the same thing with a head in our chair, sighting downward towards the floor. You know, for those of you that know a little bit of your barber history, there was a time when barbershops were very specifically designed in pure white. The ceiling was white, the floors were white, the walls were white, the chairs, the furniture, and fixtures were white, and the barber jackets were white. It was what was referred to as the super white era of the barber industry, and it specifically referenced a focus on sanitation. Does that sound familiar? Are we not living through exactly that right now? A focus on sanitation? Of course we are. That's right. But back then, that super white era was all about that. But the barbers loved it because they could do better haircuts, easier, utilizing the backdrop that was the walls, the floor, the ceiling, and the surfaces around them. That's a little bit of barber history, and that is your $100,000 haircutter tip of the day. It is the idea of using the floor as a powerful haircutting backdrop tool. It's an argument in favor of light, bright, clean-looking white floors. And obviously, when we talk about clean, sanitation is an overriding concern for us all the time. Nothing new there. Couple other things I do want to point out before we get into the topic of the week this week. For those of you that have yet to pick them up, Big and Bigger. Big Busy Barbershop, Bigger Busy Barbershop. These are the marketing books. This is one idea a week, every week. Year 1, Year 2. 0 or 1 through 52, 53 through 104, a marketing tip to build and grow your business every single week. The books are available separately. The books are available in a 2-book combo pack. Of course, it's ivanzoot.com, or you can get them from Amazon. Doesn't matter where you get them. You just gotta get them. That's right. And while we're talking about gotta get them, I also want to point out a new feature on my website. If you have the opportunity to tune in and check it out, on my website now there is a page. There is a link off the main page to what we call partnership opportunities. And this is where I list links to some of the things I share, some of the things I reference, and some of the things that you may wish to take advantage of that come up in the course of my classes, in the course of my blogging, and in the course of my sharing. A good example of that is the link for professional liability insurance for beauty and barber professionals. That link is under affiliate partnerships on my website under partner opportunities, and it's $2 million of liability insurance, which every single beauty and barber professional should carry. $2 million of liability insurance, no less than that. And my quick tip, especially for my students out there, everybody checking in from Milan today, be aware, you need to be protected and you need insurance. And when you apply for a job, ask the employer, do you have liability insurance to protect me when I work for you? Chances are they will say yes. There's a follow-up question, though. One question's not enough. Do you have liability insurance to protect me when I work for you? Yeah, of course we do. The next question is, can I have a copy in writing of the policy that specifically shares my name and the fact that I am covered and the extent of my coverage? So a letter that says Bob Smith is covered by the policy of Jane Jones at ABC Beauty Parlor for $2 million in professional liability insurance coverage extending until the date of, because every policy has an expiration date. You want to get a copy of that in writing, because chances are, if down the road you have a problem, if down the road you are sued, if down the road you have an incident, and you are not personally covered, and odds are you're either not covered or the insurance company will attempt to deny covering you when there is an issue, you want documentation. Odds are you won't be able to get it. Odds are your employer will not provide it. Odds are their policy does not cover you as an individual. It covers the business and it probably covers the owner. This is the argument for why you must have your own policy. Very inexpensive, very, very necessary, very, very important. All right, guys, let's get into the program. Location, location, location. Part 2. Last week, we talked about location, location, location. Part 1. And what the focus last week was, is it was on the incredible opportunity in front of us right now, because we have what is probably a once-in-a-lifetime, a once-in-a-career opportunity in our business, because money is cheap. Interest rates are low. There's lots and lots of empty space. Opportunities are abundant. We have lots and lots of closed barbershops and hair salons where you have furniture, fixtures, electrical, plumbing, everything in place. If you were thinking of a new location, if you were thinking of expanding, if you were thinking of relocating, if you were thinking of adding a shop to your empire, there has literally never been a better time, and there probably will never be a better time to do it, boom, than right now. I'm not advocating that we're taking advantage of the misfortune of others, and let's be honest, there's a lot of misfortune out there in our industry. Our industry has been rocked by COVID lockdown, challenged by sanitation restrictions and regulations, and struggling with the ability to try to have some reasonable level of productivity. However, as we know from history, Many of the biggest brands and biggest businesses that exist in America today were founded, started, or created during the Great Depression, during what is recognized as one of the most challenging times in American business history. So, that means there's an opportunity. That was last week. It was all about a potential next location, all about a potential opportunity, all about the importance of the right location. What I want to focus on today, though, is a little bit of a different angle on this. What I want to focus on today is, what if you've got a location? Now, you might be an owner who owns a shop or salon. You might be an employee who has an employer. You might be a chair renter or booth renter, a tenant from a legal standpoint, who's utilizing a business building location and opportunity. And part 2 of location this week is the question. We'll start it with a question. Are you currently maximizing your current location? Are you squeezing every single dollar that you possibly can out of the location you have, out of your present business situation, out of your present business circumstances? There's a pretty good chance, if you're honest with the answer to that question, the answer to that question is no. You're not probably getting the most that you can out of your current location. And that's fair. It's an honest answer if that's the answer you've been willing to offer up. It's probably more universal than you know and understand. It is no cause for embarrassment. It is no cause for concern. It is no cause for anxiety, but it is an opportunity. You have a huge opportunity to go from wherever you are right now to maximizing your location. So I split this into 3 categories for today's discussion. I have outside your business, I have inside your business, and I have operational issues. So where you do what you do, and from the inside and the outside, and a little bit of how you do what you do. And I want you to be thinking of this either from your current situation as a owner, manager, employee, booth renter, tenant, whatever, or student, and in a future sense. I think it's valuable for you to ask yourself, what are my goals? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? Especially students out there. How am I carving my space out of this industry? How am I getting my $100,000? It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. You just want $100,000. No problem. It's out there for you. How am I getting my 400? You guys know that number, the magic number. How many active customers do you need to earn a 6-figure income, to earn $100,000 as a hair cutter? You need 400 customers. When you consider the size of your city, town, village, state, or region where you live, when you consider what 400 customers looks like, you know, I told this story last week and I'll reflect on it again. My wife and I were in the car. We were driving down a major road in our area and we were looking at a up and coming, it's up and it's coming, apartment building complex. And it's a cluster of buildings with a beautiful courtyard in the center that's going to have like a swimming pool and all kinds of good stuff. A massive parking garage mounted on the back side of it. And along the front of it in glass, 2 stories up on the front of this thing is a retail complex. And as I've watched this thing get built, I've thought dry cleaner. I've thought coffee shop, restaurant, cafe. And of course, I've thought, we need a haircut place in there. We need a barbershop. We need a hair salon. We need a beauty business, a beauty industry establishment. And as I watch the building go up, and I'm no architect or construction engineer, I'm trying to get a feel for the number of units. How many apartments are they going to have in this thing? How many units are they going to be in this thing? And I started counting, And of course, I start thinking about who will live there. It's directly across the street from a train station on the commuter line, right into downtown Chicago. I think it's a great place for seniors. It's across the street from the the village fitness center and the pool and the park and shopping, dining, eating, everything. It's a great location. And I'm looking at these building towers going up. I want to say they're maybe 6 floors, 6 stories high, times 3 buildings. And I did some fast math, and what came to me was the idea that if you opened a barber shop in the retail annex, if you will, attached to this residential apartment complex in suburban Chicago, you could run a successful business. You could earn $100,000 a year cutting hair, and you would never need to cut anyone who doesn't live in the building. If their address was the same as yours, might be a different unit number, but they lived in this building. This one building has the capability, the size, I don't know the word I guess I want to use is inventory, the space. If it had enough space, it has enough spaces that it could literally support an entire career for a hair cutter. That's the power of location. Now, if one person who didn't live in this building came to you, beyond, you're growing bigger and better than that. But at the very least, you've got what you need. Powerful way to think about the ability to grow business in our business. All right, let's talk about the outside. From the outside, location, location, location. Number 1, signage. Do you have a good sign? Is your sign sending the right message? You know, I love the expression, a business with no sign is a sign of no business. Think about that one for a minute. Thumbs up it if you like it. I like that one. A business with no sign is a sign of no business. In the conversation about signs, think about things like the back of your building. I had a buddy who bought a commercial building on a little road, and the road was like a frontage road alongside a highway. And he put a little sign on the front of the building like you would think everybody would, but you know what he did? He put a huge sign on the back of the building because the back of his building was visible from the highway. People driving by on the highway were seeing his building as they were getting off at the exit right there. So sometimes there's going to be a little twist on signage. Is your signage working for you? On that conversation with signage, we also have to talk about banners and flags. Whether these are permanent banners or flags or temporary banners and flags in addition to your basic signage. These can be very effective ways of creating attention, drawing eyes, making people aware, and drawing people into your business. The one thing I want to caution you about when we talk about banners and flags is local municipal ordinances. You're going to want to check with your city before you buy a wind feather, before you order a banner. Find out if there are regulations or restrictions on when you can hang a banner, how long you can hang a banner, and some of those kinds of things, because sometimes there are. The shop that I was most recently working in, the village required a permit for a banner or a roadside sign or a wind feather. And once you had the permit, the village allowed you to only fly the flag, post the banner, hang the sign out there in this way a certain number of days per month. They didn't want it there permanently. They wanted you to remove it. And again, depending on the village you live in, it might be a permanent full-time employee, or it might be a part-time employee, or it might just be a retired concerned citizen. But there are people out there that will be counting the days, that will be watching your sign, that will be holding your feet to the fire on these kinds of regulations. Sometimes at a level that will be just a wee bit annoying, but they will do it, and you need to be on top of that kind of stuff. Signage, banners, flags. Number one. Number two, window marketing. Are you using your windows effectively? And window marketing covers two sides. Number one, posting things in the windows. Pictures, banners, signage, things you can hang in the windows to attract attention. Using your windows as big billboards to promote your business. It's a very important opportunity. The other side of that is open space. Not covering your windows completely so that people can see in. People can understand what's going on inside. People can get a feel for what you've got going on. The windows can be played two ways. And, one of the things to consider, and this is something that I've had to grapple with in my business, is how does the waiting room look from the outside? Somebody's going to roll by in the car looking in the window, and if they see a few people in the waiting room, they might drive right on by thinking the wait is too long or you are too busy. So does your waiting room send that message? In my shop, we had 24 chairs in the waiting room, and we could have 6 or 7 people waiting. That wasn't more than a 10-minute wait, but you needed to know us to know that. You needed to know that we had 8 chairs cooking. You needed to know that we moved through people in an efficient manner like that. Otherwise, 6 or 7 people in the waiting room might have easily chased you away or scared you off. So how that plays out is important. Last thing I do want to say on windows is the last thing I said on signage. Be aware of local ordinances. Where I had my shop back in the day, the village had rules about the percentage of your window square footage, and they would come out and measure how big is this window, and the percentage that was allowed to be covered by lettering, signage, postering, or anything that obscured the view into the business. And trust me, the village wasn't concerned with me building or growing business. The village was interested in this in terms of sightliness or unsightliness, a beautification issue. And the village, and this one's legitimate, the village was also concerned with window coverage as it related to police presence and police patrolling and security. They wanted to be able to see in. Imagine a bank. Somebody's robbing a bank and they're choosing to rob a bank because the windows are all blocked up. Because when a police cruiser rolls by, they don't see 3 guys holding up a bank. It's exactly that kind of thing. I know there's some of you that may take a perspective on that may be the municipal government may be encroaching in on rights and things like that a little bit. I understand where that perspective might come from, but I also understand where the village is coming from a safety standpoint. Where I've had shops, where I've worked in shops, every single one of them, the cops were clients because, flat tops and stuff. The cops were friends. The cops were regularly just popping in. Beat cops on foot, local patrol cops in the cars. They were hanging around. So window marketing, that's an issue. Next up, the parking lot. Get out of your building, especially if you park in the back. Walk out the front door of your barbershop or hair salon and get a good look at your parking lot. What does that parking lot look like? Is it clean and free of litter? When I had my shop, we had Tidy Tim. Tidy Tim's cleaning service. Tidy Tim cleaned our parking lot every single day. He ran a business doing this, and he had contracts all over the community, but he went through with a broom and a dustpan, picking up big garbage, little garbage, cigarette butts, you name it, emptying all the garbage cans that were posted along the strip. Landlord paid for Tidy Tim. Tidy Tim was an asset to our organization, but without Tidy Tim, our parking lot would have been a disaster. So it's important. Look at the pavement. Is it crumbling, cracking, and breaking? If you live in an area with snow, are they plowing your parking lot early, effectively, and efficiently? Potholes, puddles. Even if it's a smooth parking lot, was it paved well so when you get a little bit of rain, you can't fish out in the parking lot because you got a lake out there? You know, the first time somebody pulls in, opens a door, puts their foot out the door of their car, and goes just over the top of their shoe into a puddle in the parking lot, they're not happy, and that reflects on you, and it reflects on your business. You didn't know there was this much going on outside your shop, did you? Next up, the neighbors. Again, go outside the front of your business and look to the left and look to the right. Are your neighbors doing you favors? Or are your neighbors making it just a little bit harder for you to play the game and win the fight? You know, sometimes there's not much you can do to motivate a neighbor to care a little more about their business. Sometimes we can band together to cross-promote, to do things together, to potentially put pressure on the landlord if there's things we need and want. But be aware of the fact that your neighbors are maybe helping you, maybe hurting you, or maybe you can declare them fairly neutral in terms of their impact on your business. But at the very least, get out there and get a look at it. Lastly, when it comes to location outside is the question of outdoor events and activities. Think, if you would, for just a moment about some of the restaurants in your area, some of the restaurants in your community, and how this summer they have utilized their outside. There are restaurants for whom it was very easy to set up an outdoor patio, throw out some tables, umbrellas, and chairs, and serve people and do business in a COVID situation. There are other restaurants who were deeply, deeply challenged to have a way to feed some people outside in a safe manner, to manipulate their environment in this way. I'm not necessarily declaring we're cutting hair outside, but what about when we're not in a COVID situation, whether it's an outdoor event, festivals, hosting some live music? There's a wide range of things you can do outside, out and around your business. You know, there were a couple of times during the time I had my salon in which we got permission and roped off a portion of the parking lot for something we were doing out there, whatever it was, something. My Guinness World Record haircut events had us roping off a portion of the parking lot because we had a live band and some music and some food and some great things going on outside in front of the shop. We had good weather, thankfully. That worked out for us. So give some consideration to, can your exterior of your location be valuable to you or helpful to you in building and growing business? Ready to move inside? Throw me a thumb. All right, let's move indoors. Location, location, location. Maximizing your current location for your haircutting business inside the business. Number one, throw a can of paint on the walls. You will be amazed. There's probably no lower cost, simple way to brighten up, freshen up, improve, enhance the look and the feel and the overall mood of your business than a can of paint on the walls. It's inexpensive. On a Sunday, on an evening when you're closed, and you don't have to do it all in one day. Pick a wall, do one wall at a time, do a portion of a wall at a time. You know, don't underestimate, in the words of George W. Bush, do not misunderestimate the value of how people see what's going on in your business. He didn't say that about the business. He just used the word misunderestimate. Do not misunderestimate the value of a can of paint. Do not misunderestimate the impression of putting a couple of dollars into the look of your business. You know, as long as you're not covering a very dark, saturated color, you can get away with a single coat. And you can probably pick up a can of paint on sale with a coupon at a big box hardware retailer for 25 bucks. You can cover a whole wall for 25 bucks. You don't even have to change the color of all the walls. You can change the color of one wall. But throwing a can of paint on the wall is a great way to enhance. It feels like you got a whole new shop, and clients will notice. These are the kind of things, by the way, these little enhancements are a perfect example of the kinds of things you do ahead of a price increase as a way of justifying delivering more value, being worth more, and therefore asking for more of your customers. Wall art. This is an easy one. I got a few great suggestions in the category of wall art. Number one, poster frames are cheap. The kind that you put a standard sized poster in. Get a couple of poster frames and start swapping out the posters. You know, if you've got a larger wall, if you're in a strip center and you've got the space and you put up 3 posters on the walls, maybe 2 on the walls, 1 in the bathroom, and you rotate the posters. And what I mean by that is this: the poster in the bathroom gets taken down and thrown away, or given away, or raffle it off for charity. Poster number 2 goes into the bathroom. Poster number 1 goes in the frame for number 2, and a new poster goes in frame number 1. If you did this 4 times a year, you would buy 4 posters a year. If a poster costs $10, $40 a year, people notice the posters. They notice the change. You don't have to change them all. You hop them through the business. The last poster, and you know what? It's the bathroom. On the poster in the bathroom, put a little sticker on it that says, raffle, win this poster, and put the date on there. The date that that poster will come down. And then you take a picture of it, put it up on social media, put it up on eBay, raffle it off, and give the money away to a local charity. But rotate your posters. You'll be amazed. I've seen people raffle off a $10 poster and get $100 for it because it's going to charity. You know what? From the 100, spend $10 on the new poster, give the rest of the money to charity. Now this whole thing costs you nothing. But changing the wall art. Posters is one. Idea number 2 when it comes to wall art is a gallery. Find local artists who wish to display their work on your walls. Set aside a portion of one of your walls as a local art gallery. Feature young people. Feature up-and-coming artists. Feature local artists. Feature artists who are clients of the shop. Put their work up. Have it all have little prices on it for sale. Because you know what will happen? Number 1, your clients will enjoy it. Number 2, it will update and enhance your location, your decor. Number 3, do you think that artist will tell every single person they know that their artwork is on the walls at Ivan's Barbershop? Do you think that artist will send every single human they know to go see their work up on display? Do you think they'll use the power of all their social media? It's one thing for you to market to your people. It's a whole other thing for you to market to a whole other community. And this is how we use our walls, we use our environment, we use our decor to enhance our business. Recover the chairs. Here's another easy one if you're just even slightly handy. And let's face it, if you're cutting hair, you're a little bit creative, you're a little bit talented, you're good with the scissors, recover the chairs in the waiting room. And I'm not talking about fancy button-tufted leather upholstery. If that's what you got, that may be more than you want to bite off. But recovering the chairs, you pick up some fabric at the fabric store. You need like a staple gun to do this. And if you look at your waiting room, if you've got 6 or 8 chairs in a waiting area, those 6 or 8 chairs, the fabric on those chairs is a lot of square inches. It's a lot of real estate, if you will, and recovering them really pops the look of the waiting room, really changes the look of the place. Not new chairs. Buy good chairs once and change the coverings. Update the coverings on the chairs. Next up on the list is plants. Plants are an easy way to update and enhance your decor. Plants do really well in barbershops and hair salons because barbershops and hair salons tend to be damp, moist, and humid environments, which is good for the life of a plant. You know, there's a few plants out there that are very traditional barbershop environment plants. Spider plants that tend to do really, really well in damp air. They do great in bathrooms and places like that. Some succulents, some jade plants and things like that tend to do really well in barbershop environments because they require very little or no attention. So that's another great opportunity. But the plants inexpensively and seasonally can really enhance or change your environment. And I do want to say, if you don't have a green thumb, if you got that thumb, you got a black thumb, if you're going to kill anything and everything you bring into the environment like that, go to one of these big box craft stores and get fake plants. Have 4, like if you're going to have like a planter in the corner, have 4 seasonal plants. You'll buy them once, you'll pay for them once, you'll have a winter, a spring, a fall, and a summer plant, and every 90 days, you'll swap out the plant. And you got a new look, and you know what? Carefully bundle these up, put them in a large trash bag. You know where we did with this in my shop? In my shop, we had suspended ceiling tiles, and we actually stashed lightweight things like fake plants like that in a big trash bag inside the suspended ceiling. It let us put them away utilizing some extra storage space. Light fixtures, while we're looking up at the ceiling, light fixtures. If you've got wall sconces or fixtures, the electrical and the wiring is there. You don't need to be super handy. Shut off the breaker, take out the bulb, undo the fixture, put a new one up. You can buy 3-4 fixtures at a home improvement store very inexpensively to swap out the light fixtures within your shop. And if you're not changing the light fixtures at the very least, make a note in your calendar and change the bulbs. You know, it's almost like the tires on your car. You don't see, you don't notice, and you don't feel them getting bald, your tires, and you don't notice that the light bulbs aren't as bright as they used to be. But the day that you swap out the light bulbs, it's like you've got new eyes. It's like you've got fresh vision. It's like you've got super X-ray vision because you can see everything you missed before. Just swapping light bulbs is a great way to enhance your location just a little bit. Reimagine the layout. We got 2 left here on the inside before we go to operational. Reimagine the layout. You know, when I was a kid, one of the things we used to love to do at our house growing up, we like to rearrange the furniture in our bedroom. And I got to tell you, we didn't have a lot of furniture. It's not like the room was filled with furniture. Just move the bed to a different wall. Turn the bed to a different angle. It felt like you moved. It felt like you had a whole new house. Take a look at your furniture and how it's laid out within your business. Take a look at the traffic flow and the pattern within your business and ask yourself the question, hey, could I mess with this a little bit and just change things up a little bit? Not necessarily from an overall improving the traffic flow of your business perspective. That might happen as a bonus. But more importantly, the issue of changing the place up, changing the feel, just giving the whole thing a little bit of game, a little bit new. Last on the list inside are your other senses. What about your hearing? What about your sense of smell? You know, barbershops have a very specific smell. Shave cream, aftershave, and I love that smell. I know a barbershop the minute I'm in it. I know what it smells like, and I love it. Hair salons have very distinctive odors and fragrances, from perm solution to acrylic nails to hair color and lightener. We know these smells. I remember in beauty school when somebody objected to the smell of perm solution, one of our instructors responded by simply shaking their head and saying, "You don't understand now, but that's the smell of money." Back when I got into the business, perms were big money in the business. So ask yourself, does the smell and does the sound of the business serve my business? You know, it's not complicated to use a aromatherapy diffuser to put a distinctive fragrance into your environment. I think you need to be conscious of other people when you do things like that. For instance, if you rent a suite, you can't be wafting out into the hallways and interrupting and interfering with what's going on in other people's businesses. But within a hair salon, definitely. And the sound. Are you using playlists or the radio or the television? Or, one of my businesses was located next to a dry cleaner. And dry cleaners have a particular smell, and dry cleaners have particular noises. And we were very conscious of the fact that we needed to make sure that those things were not intruding into our environment to alter the feel of the business that we were trying to run. Okay, we looked at the outside, we looked at the inside. Location, location, location. A lot of golden nuggets in this one. Throw me a thumb if you're liking this class. Throw me a thumb if you're digging the content. Throw me a thumbs up or a smile or whatever if you think this is going to be valuable for you to help you with a business. Lastly, when we talk about your location and we talk about maximizing your location and we talk about getting the most out of your location, I do want to reflect on how your location works operationally. Are you getting the most out of your business? Before you open a second salon, before you move to a larger location, before you tear down a wall, are you making all the money you can with what you got right here? The answer is probably no. As an example, station sharing. I had 24 hair cutters on my team in my shop, but I only had 8 stations. Do the math. You were sharing stations. If you weren't working, your station was still working for me and for my business and for my customers. I get a little bit, I offer a little pushback. I get a little bit squirrely sometimes when I hear stylists refer to my station. Not your station. My station. It's my business. Those are my stations. I'm letting you use it. You're working here. We're happy to have you. But just because you go home at 2 o'clock and we're open till 9, I got 7 more hours that chair can make money for my business. And it's going to happen. Now, some stations have double drawers where people can have their drawer. We used plastic bins. Put your personal tools, your clipper, your trimmer, your scissor, your razor, your personal stuff in a plastic shoebox bin that has your name on it and put it on a shelf in the back room. Because when you go home, somebody else is coming in to cut hair in that chair. That's called double shifting. Making sure that those chairs are working all the time. If you haven't got to the point where you're double shifted, if you don't have double the number of hair cutters of the number of chairs that you have, and this is so very important today under COVID circumstances in which, for instance, you might be told to use every other chair in order to create a little distance between chairs and between people. You got a 5-chair shop and you can only use 3. Well, I can tell you right now, that 5-chair shop can have 3 chairs cooking, 6 hair cutters. And that's 1 more hair cutter than in a 5-chair shop. Do the math. I love the math. Figure that out. So, station sharing, double shifting. Another one to consider, and this has become much more popular now than it was in the past, because younger team members, millennials and younger, are more open to this than folks of my generation were. And that is split shifting. That is come in and work a little bit, go home, take time off, do something else, come back and work a little bit. Now, back when I was younger, split shifting was looked at as a bad thing or a bit of a punishment. I don't want to do that. I want to come to work, I want to work, I want to leave. Well, today, there's a whole new perspective on split shifting. You've got people that will be happy to come into work for a busy period, leave when it's slow, and go shopping, go to the gym, go do something else, work on their side gig, whatever, and then come back and work again later in the day during the rush. That's called split shifting. Split shifting gets people out of the business when they can't be productive and keeps people in the business and busy during more productive times. This is an operational example of maximizing your location. So we talked about outside your business, we talked about inside your business, we talked about operationally within your business. Location, 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 maximizing and making the most of your location and your business. We're going to continue this conversation throughout the week. The text blog posts on Tuesday. This class will be up on video on YouTube on Thursday, but you can still watch it right here on Facebook on repeat. The podcast is up. It officially launches on Fridays, but I record it the Friday before. So this week's podcast, Location, Location, Location Part 2, is available for listening. Go to my Instagram, go to the link in my profile, go to my Twitter, go to my link in my profile, go to my website, click on the podcast link. It's with the blog, or on the top navigation page of every single page. And get in on the podcast as well. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for being a part of this class today. We'll be back next Monday as we always are. And in the meantime, during the week, if I can be helpful to you, please reach out. You know where to find me. And if you can't find me, find yourself a book. Big and bigger. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Thanks for being here. Have a great day.